Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Planet Zoo related video, and in today's video we are actually going to look at somewhat different, and this is an actual zoo. So the reason for why I'm doing this, and wait, let me just quickly put my microphone a little bit closer to my mouth, hopefully that's not making too weird noises. So here we go, because otherwise I need to scream that loud. I don't want to scream that loud because this will make the sound even worse than it actually is already. So in today's video we are going to look at an actual zoo, and therefore I basically choose a zoo that is pretty much close to where I live. As you can see, it's the zoo in Duisburg, which is a city in Germany, kind of close to Düsseldorf, as you can see. And this is where I live, around here. I'm not gonna show you exactly where, but if we go a little bit to the north, you can see this is exactly where the zoo is. And I've chosen this zoo not only because of the distance to my actual home, but also because of some things I do like about this zoo quite a bit. I know that this zoo in history is not the best place to go in terms of how they treated animals and stuff like that, but I'm going to talk about that in a different video. I'm not going to talk about this in today's video. I want to talk about zoos and the layout of zoos, and especially with the example of the zoo in Duisburg, because it has some very nice aspects regarding zoos, and I also think there is something in which I hope we can do with the freedom of creativity that also Planet Coaster gave us. But first of all, before we move in, I'm going to show you the Google Maps view of it. The most important thing about this is that you can see there is a highway going in the middle, and this is also why I chose it. It's one of the reasons why I chose it. It kind of creates a very interesting layout, since it has this overpass which is going here, just quickly crossing the bridge into the second part of the park, where you have the bigger part on the left hand side here. As you can see, oops, I didn't want to do that. As you can see, the main entrance is down here. You also have a side entrance which is up here, because there's a big parking lot, so you have two different aspects, two different entrances to go in, and you have another one which is way on top here, which is a little bit closer to the actual city, whereas this is a bit more nature-rest arrangement over here. So let me quickly show you what I meant while changing to the satellite view of things. So this is how the whole thing looks actually in real life, and wasn't there an option to hide the overlay stuff? Wait, where is that even possible? I just want to have only this stuff. Let me see, there should be a way to... Nope, that's not what I need to do. Okay, I totally forgot how to do this. Is this down here? I don't know what. I'm just going to close that off, and then we have a better view of what we want to talk about. So this is the actual zoo area, and as I said, there is this pass in the middle, which is the highway. And let's first of all go to the main entrance down here, as you can see, and now let's switch to the 3D view. Boom, there we go. I like this. Google Maps is so good if you want to look into actual park layouts and stuff. There is so much to talk about in this video, but I want to keep it somewhat short, just to talk a little bit about layouts in general of a zoo and what we can expect and what I meant with the creative freedom. So first of all, if we are going to build a zoo, and this zoo is somewhat in a given space, having a highway and also a trainway in the middle is not what you would expect from a given scenario in a zoo game. So I'm really hoping that we are also getting some, let's call it space restrictions, and this could be a wonderful scenario. Let's imagine you are just given a space in, I don't know, in any region of the world, any given region of the world, and there you have, for example, this big highway arrangement in the middle, and you're only given two separate little locations which you can then combine with an overpass in the middle to build your zoo. This would actually make for several things. You will have to carefully decide which kind of areas you want to put where, and also how you're going to use the space. So I mean, yes, these are pretty basic things in terms of management and park builder games in general, but in Planet Coaster you barely saw that. You basically saw that with custom scenarios or with custom maps that people were creating afterwards. So obviously, yes, you will be able to build exactly like that in Planet Coaster, because you could just make this as a cosmetic highway in the middle and just pretend that this is not a space you can use. But I really would love to see this as an actual part of the game, for example. And yes, that game is not maybe the one game I wanted to quote too often, but SimCity 2015 had this aspect of these several single restricted areas where you could build the city. For a city builder game, that was pretty much the worst thing to do, and one of the decisions that made the game kind of this bad as it really was. But the cool thing about this would be if you kind of have these areas that are connected with the highway, you would have to make the highway path through these areas, these given areas, to build your zoo. But anyways, this is not what I want to talk about mainly in this video. I really want to focus on what we have in the zoo here. So let me just start off with this area here. So you can see this is the main entrance down here. Oh god, the quality is getting a bit worse. So the main entrance goes in here, and you can see this is the actual visitor pathway, you want to call it, and you can pretty much tell on the left hand side there is already a whole lot of backstage area going on. This looks like a little bit of dump site, or I don't know, wait, what is that? Can you tell me what that is? Okay, it's distant, whatever, I don't want to see that. But you can see this is a side entrance way, which basically is already a wonderful example of what you will have as delivery ways. As you can see, it's going through here the whole time, and this is every time connecting the whole backstage area, because this is everything you can't really see from the inner part of the park where the people are actually going. So the views are restricted, so to say, by foliage and by walls and whatnot. I would love to go in with this guy down here, but we can't really do that. We can only put him on several spaces. There we go. This would be now the view of the person in the park. We can't really move around, unfortunately. As you can see, all people are kind of blurred away. But this is how it looks. You come into the zoo, and you have this wonderful view over here, but you can't really see anything from the backstage area we just saw. So we are basically now looking at where the backstage is. This is also the park map. We can have a better look at it right now. There we go. This is the map actually. And yeah, we are starting down here. Wait, can I zoom in a bit more? Wasn't that possible somehow? Oh yeah, there we go. This is what I wanted to do. So we are down here. So this is the entrance of the Duisburg Zoo. And as you can see, this is the pathway we just followed. If we go back here, let me just zoom out again. This is actually the pathway that goes in. And if we move over, you can see this is the okay, I now have to translate that all simultaneously, which is a bit problematic since this is an English channel, and I forgot about this. But these are the lemurs. You can basically see many of the names are pretty much the same. Giraffes you can distinguish. These are the flamingos, elephants. But yeah, you can really see how that works. And this is also the service building where you have everything like people dealing with it. And here you can see it's even called on the map. This is the area for all the delivery stuff and like that. And if we go higher, we are going to what are the wild cats, so to say, the lions and the tigers and stuff. We're going to move there in a bit. So as you can see, we are moving this pathway up, and then we have the aquarium over here. I wonder why. Oh yeah, this is the dolphin aquarium. And some time ago, we also had something which was, but I don't remember if it was up here. No, it was down here. They also had in the past, and I don't remember if it's in here. This is a better view. I wanted to show you this one as well, because this is a better view of what we can see here. But let's look at this later. Sorry, I don't want to make this too confusing here, because we're still at the beginning. Once the park was opened a long time ago, there was also a beluga wall in what am I talking about? A beluga whale in here. This white whale, and let me just show you. Let me just do this. There we go. And this is the one that they had in Duisburg in the zoo, and I can show you where the location of that one was. Okay, let me just quickly go back to here. This one was located down here, and I don't really know if we can see this enclosure. This is what I wanted to no, I think we can't really find it, because it was, I think they redone it already. It was somewhat down here, but yeah, it was pretty pretty ugly looking when I was there the last time. It was pretty much hidden away to not be spotted by public, because yeah, it was a bit of a tragic that they had it there. And anyways, I wanted to talk about the layout and not about the whale itself. So I'm sorry, it's just I'm drifting away a little bit. So once we have this beginning over here, you can see that this whole thing is feeling a lot more natural than a theme park in general. This is also down to the fact that you do create kind of natural environments for the animals, and then you're going to curve around the pathways for the visitors, and you have to maintain, actually you have to fulfill two tasks. So the first task is making the environment for the animals as great as possible and as natural as possible, whilst keeping somewhat of a visitor friendly viewpoint. That means that people can still see where the actual animals are. And now let's see if there are more points to drop our little guy here. Not really, unfortunately, so we can't really go. But if we look at the map and we go a bit higher, this is where the bridge is, and this is where the bears are. So this is the bear enclosure. I don't really know if we can see anything in here. Not really. You can see that this is somewhat a bit more hilly, and I think this is what bears need potentially. And then we also have the big wildcats in here, as you can really tell from this view. And I really wanted to show you this. There is not much to see from an aerial view, which is down to the fact that the animals do need a little bit of security and shade, and also because of a lot of nature going on. And if we, for example, would look at a theme park, you would be able to see a lot more, because there is a lot less foliage. And this is a specific point I wanted to address, because you have seen in all the screenshots of Planet Zoo we've seen so far that there's quite a bit of foliage going on. And let me just drop one specific screenshot in here. Because I wanted to show you that one, and which one is it? I believe it's that one, right? Yeah, boom, there we go. So as you can see from this screenshot, it is a little bit, it's not that easy to compare, but if we move a little bit more towards this area, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to do. And then we can also take that's the image I wanted to have, and then you keep that next to it. I wanted to address that they already have done an insane job in capturing what a zoo really looks like. Look at that. I mean, that's pretty much all right, isn't it? It's really capturing the vibe of it. I mean, yes, we have several enclosures here, while this is only the one enclosure, but it totally does look like a zoo has to look. And I'm pretty happy that they were able to capture this, and I'm also loving the fact that they took the same aerial view, because this is why I can only do this and compare that. So I really like that. But as we go further in here, we can already tell that there's a lot more going on in a zoo that we are able to look at, fortunately. And you can also see, and this is what there we go. This is a very drawn out layout, because it's, you know, it's not squarey or somewhat, it's going really upwards, like seriously. And then you would also go down again, but I wanted to show you is, whoops, where is this one again? I love how the different demands of various animals also shape the zoo, because you can't just flop down any given enclosure what you want to put down, I don't know, anywhere, because you need to make sure that there is at least a little bit of a, I don't know how to call it, but a little bit of a, whoops, I just hit my microphone again, a plan behind what you do, because the different enclosures and the different areas do request different, for example, food and, you know, deliveries. And as you can see, they have basically put together animals that also work together in terms of what they need and what their liking is. And this is the African area, and you have put together like zebras and different other animals like meerkats, and, you know, all these kind of lovely animals, koala bears, kangaroos, wombats, and all these lovely animals down here. And they all, you know, these are all herbivores, so yes, they will obviously don't need too much meat, and this is why they keep it here together, which makes the delivery also easier than if you would need to bring anything else, kind of different things to different areas, and makes the whole thing confusing, as my talking is right now. You can really distinguish from that. Anyhow, so that's pretty much done. A lot of smaller animals are here, but you can see, and this is what we started with. The backstage area really continues to be exactly to the sideline of the park. So if we go further in here, you can see, and if we go and look back to the map, it basically curves around the entire area. This is obviously just the outline of the map, but you have seen that there's always a connection. There is a connection. This here is a connection because there is a house which has a backstage entrance. We have another entrance here. So, oh, there are the camels, by the way. Now, can we see a camel? Can we see a camel? Let me just see. Camels need to be... I can't see anything, right? But camels would be down here somewhat, but they're not to see. They are not viewable. Anyways, so yeah, that's what you see down here. If we go to the other side of the park, you can again see, and now this is what we need to do. We go, you see there's an empty spot down here. Let me just see what is in this empty spot down there, because that's pretty much, oh no, I was wrong. It was not that side, it's that side. This is the old enclosure of the beluga whale. Oh man, okay, can we, let's just leave this one and maybe see if we can spot anything. Yeah, basically that's where the old thing was below, and it's, yeah, it was behind that monkey house. This is also why they just deleted that out of the yeah, because we also have the hippos here, so, or the mini hippos I should say. Anyways, this is where the old one was. I'm wondering what they're doing here. I mean, this is again, now this is a backstage area, but yeah, this has been there. I was just wrong, sorry, I just wanted to correct my little mistake I made. I love this overpass, by the way. It's just like this little park that has been created, and also if we go to the road, you can see that they have the wait, it's from the other side, so let's move around and curve around. There we go. Okay, it's winter, it's unfortunate, but in summer you can see the name Zoo written out of foliage. So this is like a bush that is shaped in the form of a zoo, which is lovely, and it's always fun to drive here because I'm going to a few clients. We always pass here. Oh god, it's from 2008, quite a long time ago. So yeah, this is how it looks. Yeah, in summer you can see these are the three letters. In the summer it's looking a lot better than what we just saw from this weird image. By the way, fun fact, Google Street View is not really available in Germany, so this is one of the single spots where we could use it, which is a little bit of a fun fact, but it's also a bit, sometimes it's really a little bit tricky. However, as you can see, this is another backstage area. I'm really a bit questioning what this is in this case. Normally there shouldn't be one. Okay, it seems that they have changed something in the meantime, because that's a newer map, obviously. But back then they have been creating something here, which I can't really distinguish what that is. But yeah, as we move a little bit higher, you can see this is already the end of the park. Oh, I was basically wrong. This is here. No, it is a backstage area. Sorry, I was moving a bit too high. So this is the backstage area, and this is the dolphin show area, by the way. And this is where the dolphins are held. Obviously, because of the weather in Germany, they are all indoors, and yes, it's not that big. I'm not a big fan of that. This is, beside, I think, one other zoo in Germany, the only existing zoo that do have dolphins. I'm a big fan of dolphins. I have to say, I even love them more than camels, because the dolphins are my favorite animals. However, I like them in the free wildlife and not in a zoo. But I have to say, this was the first time in my life that I was able to touch a dolphin, because when you have birthday and you're in the zoo, which I have been one time, you are allowed to go on a little boat, which I haven't done. I think I feared it too much, but at least I could you know, touch them at least and kind of get the feeling of them the first time. It was amazing though, but yeah, I was very small and couldn't really understand how bad it is that they have these kind of animals in a zoo. And yes, it also would be the same for most other animals, but I just wanted to mention, especially with those animals, it's a bit tricky if you don't have enough space and if you're not in an environment where they can somehow live naturally. And yeah, well, okay, that's how it is. But yeah, as you can see from the zoo plan over here, and they have also the Siberian tiger on top of here. We can't really see too much. It might be in here, because this is the tiger counter down here, so they should be here. But as you can see, this is directly connected to the backstage area. I'm not entirely sure how the security aspect of a park is always managed. It seems that you know, these kind of more dangerous animals are kept, obviously, yes, in a secure area, away from the other animals, but maybe also to have a little bit more of control over them. So if it's down here and you have also the other tigers in a separate area like here, I think it's easier to help them a little bit more secure from the others. I'm not too sure about that, but it's also not that by the way, I haven't mentioned that yet. I wanted to make this tour with you through the zoo without being an expert on that. I'm always trying to learn more, and this is also me learning more about zoos and the special things. And yeah, I just wanted to take an example of a zoo where I've been plenty of times already, because otherwise this would be even more difficult to talk about. But now let's, if we have done this, now let's have a little look into what the kind of guest movement is like, and how this would work, because this park especially is a bit tricky in terms of how you would act with the guest movement, since if they start here they need to go all the way up here and then again back down. So they always keep it a little bit like a circuit, so you can go always like, just, you can also make like an 8 shape. If you go here up, go just a little bit down here in this area. There's also a little playing ground for little kids, and if you go down here again, you can switch over to the other side. And I remember that this side of the whole park was always carried by the dolphin area, because otherwise, without the dolphin area, it's even branded. Are you kidding me? Jesus, I didn't know that. This is a German trash company. Well, it's a trash company. It's a company that is taking care of getting away with all the trash that is being produced. I have no idea how the English word for it is. Yeah, it always was carried by the dolphin area and by the tiger. I remember that, because everything else is more or less like small and boring. I don't know, like flamingos here and some birds, like German kind of Middle European animals. Storks, yeah, and you have good gorillas here, which is also nice. And yeah, then you have the monkey house. So you basically have like one big trigger here to make the guests really go there, and you have up here you have another big trigger, because this is the kids area. So they do kind of work in a little bit, that they draw the guests walking through the whole park. I mean, in comparison to other areas in theme parks, for example, where you pay an entrance fee and that's about it, you have several things to pay even more money in a zoo. And now we do have to talk about this aspect quite a bit, because not too much, as I said, I'm willing to make a separate video on that, but a zoo has also a certain task. So the first thing is that they do earn enough money to feed their animals, keep the zoo tidy, and, you know, pay the bills basically, and also make some revenue. And in the best case, also have some win at the end of the day. Some net growth would be also good to improve the zoo and the environment of the animals, full stop. And then the second more important thing is, many zoos in this world, not all unfortunately, but many zoos take care of securing the wildlife. So yes, they do have some animals held in captivity, and this is by no means a good thing, but those animals held in captivity are helping to secure more of their animal friends that living in the wildlife to, you know, live there, because some of the endangered animals wouldn't be alive if there wouldn't have been zoos. I mean, yes, this is a very difficult kind of phrase to say, because it's by no means argued in the best way possible, since there is a lot more going into it. But at the end of the day, there is a way to argue that zoos are helping to save endangered animals. And this is also why they need to make more money out of it. So for example, in the dolphin area in the Duisburg Zoo, you can kind of get, I don't know if it's Patenschaft, it's called in German. Let me just quickly see how this word is done in English, because it's not ownership, is it? Wait. Good God, why can't I just type the right word? It's that's easy. It's sponsorship. So, okay, that was pretty obvious. You can get a sponsorship for dolphins, and obviously these are not the dolphins in this park, because that would make no sense. You can get a sponsorship for animals living in the free world, in the wildlife, and this is a cool thing, because this money then goes directly, or at least it should, and this again is some of the things you need to talk about. But in the best world, in the best case scenario, this money goes directly into organizations that take care of the animals living in the wildlife. And this is why you want to make more money out of the zoo experience than only the entrance money. So you can basically get sponsorship of most of the animals anyways, but you can also leave some money for more general aspect about the areas. You can leave money to improve the overall enclosure things, and these kind of things I really want to see in Planet Zoo as well. So first of all, I want to see that people spend money for putting animals back into the wildlife, and I know that this is one of the bigger aspects of the game. This has been already approved. This will be a major element of the management. I'm really hoping that you will need money to do this, obviously, and that this money can be collected directly with the enclosures and kind of connect this, and not just having a general fee or just your general income of the park is held for it, but that you really have money that goes into a certain element of it. So for example, if many of your zoo visitors want to give money for your camels, for example, for whatever reason, haha, I know the reason, then you can only use that specific money to, you know, give your animals or your camels the chance to go back into the wildlife. That would be an awesome thing to do, and it would be also giving this specific little thing gameplay gameplay aspect. God, I'm so confused. However, guys, I think I should wrap it up here. We can have a final look onto the normal map of the zoo. This was the Duisburg Zoo in Germany. I think many of you will potentially know it. For those of you who don't, it is a zoo worth visiting, I would say, but it's not a zoo worth traveling to. So if you are around, it's a cool thing to go there, but it's not that kind of zoo you want to visit from a foreign country or whatnot. If you're a zoo enthusiast, it's maybe not one of those on the top list, but at least for me, that was the best choice now, because this park is at least a park I do know a little bit about. So it was in the context of doing this video, that was basically the best decision to do it. And I think if we wrap it up a little bit here, we can definitely tell that the overall park management is a lot more important, or at least as important as for a theme park, but there goes a lot more into backstage management than in a theme park, because of just having a lot more frequent delivery aspects. This is also something I didn't mention, but this is obviously true, because you need to deliver food and stuff each and every day, whilst you need to have controls and stuff, repairs and so on coasters, not every day. And that's also a major aspect of a backstage organization of your park. But so that should be it for today's episode. I hope you like me looking into these kind of things. I hope it was at least a little bit informative for you guys, and I hope you're not as mad about me as I am at the moment, because I found it a bit more unstructured here. But this was an honest video. This was just me going through and taking you with me on this journey. So I hope you kind of appreciate that, and I hope to make more of these kind of videos, and then try to be a bit more prepared than this time, because I just noticed at the end of this video that there could have been a bit more information about that. But maybe we're going to do this in a separate video, in another video, where you guys can also give me your favorite zoo, because that would be my question. Do you have a go-to zoo in your area, and which one is this, and why do you like it that much? And does the zoo has some specific things you think is worth mentioning? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you want to see more zoo content and Planet Zoo related content in the future, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you are interested in general on my videos, just hit the bell as well, because then you get the notifications whenever my videos are up. If you don't, you have to deal with the YouTube algorithm. Have fun with that. So see you next time, and have a great day. Bye bye, guys.
Gonna push that daydream up the mountain.